G'day and welcome to Mark and Sam After Work. Today we've got our second instalment of our 270 Winchester ELR Build, Extreme Long Range Shooting Build. The previous video I had the basic setup. Now it's got the other bits and pieces onto the rifle and it's all set up. So it's for a quick nutshell, it's a Hauer 1500 long action receiver. It has a 28-inch swan barrel in 1 1/8 twist. It has one of our muzzle brakes on it. It now has it's mounted in a Southern Cross small arms chassis. It has their folding stock part of that chassis. It's got an MDT grip. It's got an Accuracy International magazine. It's got some bits I modified to raise the butt pad. It's got one of my bag riders on it, and it's got this guardrail or barrel guard extension that runs the spigot to be able to run our bipod system on the front of it. Our bipod system is this little clamp using Atlas long legs. That's the basics of the rifle. On top here, I actually have a 60 MOA rail that is made by the guys at Mirage URL. So it's custom made for us. So it's a 60 MOA rail, and then on top here I have I normally run the Night Force scopes. I'm a great fan of them. Another good scope that's a really good one which I have here is the Valdata in the Recon Gen 2, and the custom bit I have here is I actually have it in the this is an air attack base, which gives me even more adjustable elevation if I want to use it. The only thing is you can't buy them like this. I've actually modified a 36mm one, so 36mm rings, to take 40mm to suit the big tube on the Valdata scope. So anyway, that's the bits and pieces of where we're at. I'll put that back down to 0. I haven't done that. That's the bits and pieces of where we're at with this this rifle. Where it was dialed from was the last shots we're actually taking, which ended up on a Coke can, but let me go through and tell you what we actually did. First of all, we had fired, which we showed you, 4 rounds, which we went through with some pressures to work out, some different loads to work out a pressure we were going to use, or a powder load we're going to use. The top one was still okay in the way of the pressure, what I tested, so that's what I actually loaded up at. For people who want to know more of the details, if you become a club member, if you look over on our web store, there is a couple of ways you can do it. You can be a club member or a Magnum Club member, but there's a couple of different choices there. In those sort of things, then we'll have email links, and there is some more specific details that I can share, but that's only for the people who are part of the team. So if you're a club member, team member side of things, then that sort of options there. Other than that, I was using the H1000, or over here in ADI, it's called the AR2217, and I'm running a 170 grain bullet, which is the Berger Extreme Outer Limits 170 grain bullet. And that was the pressure that I decided to choose, so I loaded up 50. Now, as is probably all over the world, certainly in Australia, powder is getting very scarce, that we don't know when the next lot's coming. We have a fair amount, but we have a fair season in front of us. So I'm going to be fairly ruthless on using rounds and not wasting them, that sort of stuff. So as for our shoot, we only went through 20 rounds to test and prove and do what we did. And I'll go through that. What we did to start off with. We'd fired those 4, so we had a pressure, we loaded the other 45, and then that's what we're going to go with. Now, as for sighting the barrel, what I normally do, because I swap scopes over and that sort of stuff, I don't go to the range and spend a whole heap trying to zero it spot on at 100 yards or anything like that. What I do is very thoroughly bore sight it. I'll put some images on that process. So I look down the barrel at something, in my situation it's 50 yards away, then I set up the scope to suit so it's pointing at it. That isn't always going to work. Bullets don't always travel exactly where the barrel is pointing. All sorts of reasons for that, but it's generally very, very close. So that's what I did exactly. And then I actually had, in this situation, because I hadn't fired it, hadn't sighted it, hadn't done anything whatsoever, I had 3 shots at a rock next to our 620 yard target. Okay, so we just did a little rock over to the left hand side.
Radio, the red rock. There we go. Cool.
29.17. Damn.
Good or bad?
Speed.
Hey?
That's good. tall, isn't it?
Tiny bit. And to the right.
Blowing to the right, so.
Bottom right of the rock.
29.25.
Cool. That's good.
It is good, isn't it? It was a little bit low, wasn't it?
Oh, a tiny bit. Bottom right of the rock, so yeah, tiny bit.
Okay. One more, and then we're on target.
Up the rock. It made it jump up.
29.28.
Awesome. Well, set the cameras.
Yep, set the cameras. To get on exactly on the rock. So I went through that process. I videoed, well, our shooting. I didn't video the rock, but that's what we did there, so we could get onto the rock. And then we shot at the target. Now, target's slightly different position. It was a little bit over the left, and we had a normal, the wind was fairly light at the shooting area. The wind didn't look too bad at the target, but the dust was flying away at a reasonable speed, and we also were shooting through valleys. So there was definitely some high winds or something other going on. A shot on target.
Okay. Beautiful. Here we go.
Okay.
8 o'clock.
Nope.
There.
And that was 29.35.
Cool. Good solid impacts.
Yeah, exactly. 29.25.
Nice.
That's where I was holding.
Oh, okay, good one.
29.27. That's not terrible.
No.
Still under 6 inches at 600 yards.
Centre.
Just below that.
Just below.
Anyway, that's not terrible.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, I think that'll do it. 600 yards.
Rightio.
1200. How far was it?
I'll
get them. But still, performed very well. A little bit of surprise to me. I hadn't done a lot of research to see what I was going to expect, but the first shot was, I think it was 29.17 was the speed it was running at, which is a little higher than I expected. It settled down in around the 29.30, so 2,930 feet per second is roughly where it was shooting. As I would expect, with virgin brass, so it hasn't been fire formed at all, and even though I do all my prepping to the brass to get it all ready to go, I expect things to, on the first firing and the first settling, the first loading, with a new barrel that's bedding in, all that sort of stuff, I expect a little bit more of differences in things as they settle down. We had an extreme spread of just over 30, but really most of the shots were in around the 10 to 12 was the spread we're really seeing. So pretty good, and that's like I think it was the 29.25 up to the 29.35 sort of area was where most of the shots were landing in. So really good speed. Happy with that. On target, as you see, at 600 yards, started to function really well, shooting really nicely. So, as said previously, not wasting any more ammunition than we need to. But you can see what that last 3-shot group, once I get it back over on target, into the centre of the target, the last 3-shot group was in around about the 3 inches. So really good. So happy with that. then we're straight out to 1270 yards. So put the target out there, and you can see what actually happened. 10.6 and 1.75. 1.7 and 10.6. Well, a little early to be making that accurate a dial and expecting results, but let's see.
Yeah, man.
Just like that. Okay. That's good. Okay.
Good to go. Oh, just off top right. Quarter target right and just a tiny bit tall.
Tiny bit tall. Okay, so down. I don't fear down 2 clicks, but look at that. And it's got more wind out there than that. That's no surprise, is it?
No. Beautiful.
Whoa.
Center. Awesome. Oh, and we heard it too. No. No, good. Top right, hit. Just in the top right corner.
So, low one there, let's put another couple on and see where they go.
Right yet? Two o'clock.
Well, that's down to get back, that's good.
Yeah.
I held over the left of that one. I was trying to get that back closer to centre, but
Yep.
still that's on
I
there
had,
working nicely.
obviously,
Yeah.
as sort of mentioned in that video, not really enough data to be able to dial straight on, but with what I did have dialed within sort of 6 inches of the target, with a quick adjustment, we're on centre, so I was very happy with that. As said, the wind was a little bit erratic. It pushed over to the right for the next shot, so I then tried to correct it with a last shot type thing, and it went back the other side. So listen, shooting really, really well. That was enough for what I wanted to do today. As said, was trying to be a little frugal on the ammunition, but I also thought, listen, I was, I suppose, in a little bit of, whether you call it showing off or to try and do another separate little video. I thought we set up a Coke can out there at that distance, which was just across from the side. So we had the last, to finish off with only having a half-used box of ammo, we ran the last rounds out that. And this is what that went like. So, well, as you can see, it didn't work, but it shot really, really well. Really consistent, working really well. That dial on there, that was 12.5 mil of elevation to get out there. So super efficient, working really well. And I suppose I'll segue back a little bit for people who don't know what we're talking about. I actually have these 4 rounds in front here. For people who don't know what a 270 is, lots of people do, I get it. And generally they're not quite set up like this. They're generally set up with a smaller bullet, and generally they're in from a 1 in 12 down to a 1 in 9 twist. And most 270s, from what I gather, are really in shorter barrels, in the 20 inch out to 24 inch, and in sporter barrels, very much a white-tailed deer sort of hunting rifle, capable of all sorts of things, not quite as capable as some of the writers of years ago tried to claim they were good for everything, but still very good round, but generally not set up quite like this. What I have here, just for perspective, that's the 308. Next to it is the reasonably new one in the 6.5 Creedmoor. This is the 270, and next to it is the 7mm Rem Mag. And really, performance-wise, it's closer to the 7mm Rem Mag than it is to the little ones in the way of it's performing very well. I should say I'm using this H1000 is what most people are going to know it as, but the 2217. And that's really working quite well in this situation because of the barrel length. At 28 inches of barrel, reasonably heavy bullet, it's in the barrel for a reasonable amount of time, so the slower burn gives you more power, gives you more speed. As said, I was expecting, well, I was hoping to see at least 28.30 and maybe 28.50. So 29, well, listen, we're nudging 29.50, so not too far off 3,000. I would say by the pressure you could push it and get to that place. There's no need. This is a happy spot. It's working really well. So really look forward to stretching it out. It's shooting really, really nicely. The only bit I would say, which Sam tried to get on and have a shot with it, didn't get comfortable. And that's simply because the way I had it all set up here is a little bit long in the pull for her, so a little bit long in the length, and that's because I'm running, I suppose there's a yin and a yang that comes with the folding stock piece. They are awesome for flexibility, for being able to short the rifle, to put it in the case or in your safe or that sort of stuff, for being able to clean the thing, be able to flick it around and go through, and for bore sighting, with the bolt out, getting the bolt out, cleaning the rifle, just awesome. Great to work with, really love them. The negative, I suppose you would say, and that really depends on you, the shooter, and what you're doing with the rifle, is for me setting up with the length of pull, I had to move everything back. I'd have to move everything back further to try and get that compromise between 6'4" and 5'1.5". So I'm a little bit extreme in the differences we're trying to do there. The other bit that I would say, for extreme precision, this locks up pretty well. There is almost no movement, a little tiny bit you can feel when you twist it side to side, but really very good. It does lock up firm. You can't get anything in direct side movement. There's certainly nothing in up and down rock, so really nice and strong on that score. But there is a joint, and in the transfer of harmonics and trying to make it work as well as it possibly can, there's potentially a little negative attached in the fact that you actually have something that isn't actually clamped together, isn't actually bolted together. So for most of the sort of stuff, for hunting, for all the options, awesome thing, the folding stock. And I'm not just talking about this one, I'm pretty much talking about every folding stock there is. This is a better choice than than a lot of the ones I've seen. This locks up really well. A lot of them are a little flimsy. But for my extreme level of precision I'd like to see, then I'm probably going to drop back to just bolting it together, and that also gives me that a little bit easier to set up with the length of pull side of things, a little bit more attainable in the combination. But like I said, 6'4", 5'1.5" in Sam stature means that I'm running a little compromise to make all that stuff happen generally anyway. But I think that's about it. Shot really well, super happy with it, going really nicely. We'll probably be at, I think the next thing, we're waiting for the things to clear off a little bit at the farm, that sort of stuff, but we're going to run out into the mid-2000s is where we'll go to. As said, a season should be frugal with our rounds to do that, so we'll take big steps rather than little steps, but I think it's going to perform super well. Anyway guys, hope you liked the video, and as mentioned through that video, if you're keen to support us to bring more of this sort of stuff, like to help us be part of the team and help us in the finance side of things, which is the hard bit, we're sort of pushing the boundaries all the time there, then please do. A couple of ways to do it. You can go across, if you look at this 4AW icon down the bottom here, that'll take you to a PayPal link on our channel page. That will take you to there where you can donate directly on PayPal. And also over on our channel where we sell a lot of these bits and pieces on our web store where we sell a lot of these bits and pieces, there's the bits and bricks you've always been able to buy. For people who want to do that, then you're in the same thing. But there is direct club membership you can purchase, an annual thing. We'll remind you in a year's time when it's coming up again if you want to or don't want to. That's your choice, but really would be great to get the help to help us with what we've already put in, or to help us with the future, or, and I don't really like to look at it the way of selling information, but if you are part of the team, then I'm prepared to be a bit more a part of your team. Anyway guys, thanks for checking in on us. Hope you enjoyed, and we'll catch you next time.